Brawl Stars is one of the most popular mobile games of all time, with over 100 million active users. The company that owns the app, Supercell, has recently taken advantage of this success and created a similar app that you might have seen when clicking on the button in the Brawl Stars lobby. Squad Busters. What's Squad Busters, you ask? You are placed into a dungeon with other players and your goal is to collect as many gems as possible to win. But here's the catch. It's only available in certain countries right now. No worries though, I'll show you how to download it early even if you're not in those regions. But before we get into that, let's dive into what Squad Busters is all about, how to play, common mistakes people make, and also some tips in just 7 minutes. Before getting into the game, there are a total of 6 types of units: all-rounders, suppliers, speedsters, defenders, attackers, and healers. I recommend trying to get a balance of all of these or else you will get destroyed by your opponents. Anyways, when you get into a Squad Busters game, you want to try to get Greg or Goblin. The reason you get Greg is that he can chop down trees easily, which gets you a ton of coins used to buy chests. With those coins, try to either get another Greg or Goblin for even more coins. If you start with Goblin, immediately purchase a chest, and similarly to Greg, try to get him or another Goblin since Goblin spawns with 3 coins automatically. Another good option after getting the starters is a chicken. They aren't too strong but help you move around quicker and get even more units. After getting the starters and hopefully a chicken, try to start getting attackers so you can kill bosses. Although don't forget to get defenders, as attackers are weaker and can easily die if you don't have units as shields. Something really important to keep in mind is that you typically don't want to fight people early on, as it can waste a bunch of time since they might just run or be annoying. It's much easier to get coins to buy chests early on since they are so cheap. Chests start at 3 coins, then 5, 10, and go all the way to 50. You only want to fight people if you have better units and are in a good spot. Killing does give you a free chest, but it might be better to just farm coins or gems and get those chests normally to save time and resources. A really important feature that a lot of people forget is fusions. When you get 3 of the same unit, you can fuse them, which gives advantages. Using a website called the Royal API, which will be on the screen, you can see the fusion multipliers. For example, if you fuse the barbarians by getting 3 of them, you get a 3.5x health multiplier and a 2x damage multiplier. The best part of all though is that because you have fewer units in your squad, chests are cheaper since the prices are based on how many units you have. Even if you have the opportunity to get a really good unit, instead fuse your units so you can easily purchase more chests and get better units later on. Now that you have fusions and a decent squad, go to the center where you will find bosses and other players. Try to take control of the center late game where you can get a bunch of loot from bosses and eventually grind the gem mine. Although this will be very competitive and many other players will try to be there too. If you are undergeared, try to survey the surrounding area instead and maybe go for small bosses which still give a bunch of coins and gems. You don't need to get first place every game to still gain loot, so try to stay alive instead of being risky, especially when you aren't as stacked as the other players in your game. Try to save coins until there is 1 minute left because all chests get automatically upgraded to epic for the same price. Don't fully focus on getting more units and rather attacking other players or bosses around the end, as you are wasting time. It isn't about how stacked you are but rather how many gems you have. Although before fighting other players, look at your surroundings. You can see gem indicators around your screen which show how close someone is or stacked they are. You can easily get cleaned or third-partied, which will end up with you draining or getting eliminated. So don't be risky. If you happen to get a mega unit, which you can collect from the Squad Busters pass, these are stronger, have more health, and also have a special ability. After completing a game, depending on your position and win streak, will change the amount of spins you get when getting a chest. Try to keep a high win streak and don't waste chest tickets, which brings us to the next part of the video. Before we dive into common mistakes, smash that subscribe button. This is a new channel, and let's face it, you might never see my glorious king face again. And do you really want to miss out on a chance to say, I was here before it was cool? Subscribe now and earn your OG status. Trust me, in the future, you will thank me. Nah, I'm just kidding, but it would really mean a lot, and thanks to everybody that subscribed. Anyways, in this next part of the video, I will be going over some common mistakes new players make. Try to avoid making these at all costs to guarantee the most progression. The first common mistake is wasting coins on chest tickets when you are not completely out or won't continue playing. Don't buy 3 chest tickets, then just play 1 game and get off afterwards. You are wasting coins when you can get them over time naturally. Along with this, try to avoid buying chests individually, but instead in groups of 3 since it is a way better deal. And don't buy chest tickets if you don't have a win streak because you won't even get as good rewards anyway. Speaking of win streaks, they are extremely important. They get you better loot from chests, such as a bigger chest or more units at the end of the games, and more. If you are severely undergeared and know you are going to lose the game, try to stay alive until you are in the top 5, because you won't lose win streaks if you are in the top 5 players. Normally, everyone but 5 players or less end up dying, so it isn't really that hard. Next, Pay attention to the plaza. At the moment, there isn't much you can do, but there is a daily chest which gives a bunch of gold, and you can also talk to the units and occasionally get bonuses. Also, be sure to claim achievements. You can see how to do this on screen, but keep in mind that you can't skip achievements. You must complete the one you are working on before going to the next one. Next, make sure to pay attention to the modifier. For example, if it's loot goblins rush, then try to get a bunch of fast troops such as colt or chickens to help you move faster and catch goblins. Now let's get into the tips. There are spell events in the plaza in which you always want to try to unlock as many spells as you can as soon as possible. Speaking of spells, try to always have one, as they can help you in battles or help you escape to avoid losing. In battle, you may notice that you can't cancel spells like in Brawl Stars, where you just move the button to the center again. Instead, drag the button to the very edge when your circle turns red. This will stop your spell from casting. Pay attention to the gem leaderboard. If you are drastically behind, that probably means your squad is a lot weaker. Try to gear up more before fighting other players or pushing center. Do not connect your Supercell ID. Wait until you get the Barbarian King and then connect it. This is because when you connect your Supercell ID, you get the Archer Queen, which may sound good, but since there is no other way to get her, your chances of getting the Barbarian Queen from chests are much higher because you have no chance of getting more Archer Queens. Are you going against humans or bots? You can check if you are fighting against a human or bot by going to your battle log and seeing if you can view their profile. If you can't, then it's a bot. But besides that, you can recognize bots due to their unusual movement, odd squad picks, and names. If you manage to determine if someone is a bot, then you might be able to get a free kill and progress quicker. There are also usually more bots when you first start playing the game. To recap, avoid common beginner mistakes by prioritizing suppliers, getting chickens, and balancing attackers and defenders. Focus on fusions for cheaper chests and more units. Don't waste time chasing opponents early on. Instead, control the center late game for maximum gems. Also, feel free to rewatch the video if needed and subscribe if you learned anything new. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll share even more advanced strategies. And if you want to get the game early, watch the video on screen.